Russian nuclear submarine surfaces 30 miles from Miami Beach. The Kazan, Russia's most advanced hunter-killer, armed with cruise missiles and torpedoes. U.S. Navy mobilized 3 destroyers in 90 minutes. What happened next became the most intense submarine hunt since the Cold War. November 5, 2025, 6:47 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. USS Truxtun, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, detected unusual magnetic signatures 30 miles east of Florida's coast. The contact moved at 18 knots submerged, depth estimated at 400 feet, nuclear-powered, extremely quiet. Intelligence confirmed the worst-case scenario. Russian Navy submarine Kazan, Yasen-M class. The most dangerous attack submarine Russia ever built. American officials had described these boats as on par with current-generation U.S. Navy submarines. Now one prowled within sight of Miami's skyline. The hunt was on. The Kazan represented Russia's technological renaissance, commissioned in 2021 after 14 years of construction, length 390 feet, displacement 13,800 tons submerged, nuclear reactor providing unlimited range, equipped with 8 vertical launch tubes, capable of firing 32 Kalibr cruise missiles, range 1,500 miles, precision strike capability against land targets, 4 533 mm torpedo tubes, armed with wake-homing torpedoes designed specifically to kill American aircraft carriers, maximum speed 35 knots underwater. Operating depth 1,970 feet. The submarine featured pump jet propulsion, made it exceptionally quiet, harder to detect than older Soviet designs, advanced acoustic damping technology, anechoic coating that absorbed active sonar. This wasn't a relic from the Cold War. This was a modern threat. The Russian flotilla had departed from Kola Bay on May 28th. 4 vessels total. Kazan led the formation, accompanied by Admiral Gorshkov frigate, armed with Zircon hypersonic missiles, capable of Mach 9. 2 support vessels rounded out the group, the Pashin salvage tug, the academic Pashin tanker. Their stated destination was Havana, Cuba. A port visit scheduled for June 12th through 17th. But U.S. intelligence tracked a different story. The submarines deviated from direct routes, conducted training exercises in the Atlantic, simulated attacks on mock enemy formations. What's your weapon of choice for submarine hunting? Type A for destroyers with towed sonar. Type B for P-8 Poseidon aircraft. Russian Ministry of Defense released video June 11th. Showed Kazan conducting simulated missile strikes, targeting naval groups at distances exceeding 600 kilometers. The footage was propaganda, designed to demonstrate capability, project power, remind America that Russia still commanded the seas. But what the video didn't show was more important. U.S. Navy had been tracking Kazan since she left Russian waters. P3. Orion maritime patrol aircraft monitored her transit across the North Atlantic. Underwater sensor arrays detected her acoustic signature, classified as Yankee Joe 1. Every submarine makes unique sounds: propeller blade count, machinery vibrations, reactor coolant pumps. The signatures get cataloged, stored in databases. When Kazan entered the Caribbean, American sensors recognized her immediately. SOSUS arrays detected her first. Sound surveillance system, network of underwater listening posts stretching from Greenland to the Caribbean, installed during the Cold War, upgraded continuously. The arrays picked up subtle sounds, analyzed frequencies, triangulated position, fed data to Joint Interagency Task Force South in Key West. The command center processed the intelligence, determined Kazan had deviated from predicted course. Instead of heading directly to Cuba, she'd swung north, toward the Florida coast, distance close to 30 miles, well within international waters, perfectly legal under maritime law, but uncomfortably close. If you're enjoying this deep dive into modern warfare, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. U.S. Northern Command authorized immediate response. 3 destroyers scrambled. USS Truxtun departed Norfolk 3 days earlier, already positioned near the Bahamas. She altered course. Maximum speed 30 knots. ETA to intercept zone 90 minutes. USS Donald Cook departed from Rota, Spain, a week prior. Currently operating near Puerto Rico, she accelerated northward. USS Delbert D. Black, newest Arleigh Burke flight type IA destroyer. Departed Mayport, Florida. These weren't ordinary patrol ships. These were submarine hunters. Each destroyer carried AN/SQQ-89 integrated anti-submarine warfare system, combined hull-mounted sonar, towed array sonar, torpedoes, ASROC anti-submarine rockets. The ships could detect, track, and engage submarines at ranges exceeding 20 miles. Canadian frigate HMCS Ville de Quebec joined the operation, brought additional sonar capability, coordinated through NORAD Joint Command Structure. U.S. Coast Guard Cutter Stone provided surface search support. 5 warships converging on a single target. The Kazan had attracted overwhelming attention. Russian commanders knew this would happen. The entire operation was designed to test American response times, measure reaction procedures, gauge capabilities. It was intelligence gathering disguised as routine transit. Both sides understood the game. Question was who'd blink first. P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft launched from Naval Air Station Jacksonville, loaded with sonobuoys, magnetic anomaly detector, acoustic processors. The P-8 represented cutting-edge submarine hunting technology, could deploy patterns of sonobuoys covering 100 square miles. Each buoy listened for submarines, transmitted data back to aircraft. Operators analyzed sounds, separated biological noise from mechanical signatures, isolated the target. The aircraft climbed to 25,000 feet, began deploying sonobuoys in barriers across Kazan's projected path, creating an acoustic fence. The submarine would trigger detection when she passed through, unless she went deep, below the thermocline layer where sound behaves differently. That's what Kazan's captain chose. At 8:15 a.m., Kazan disappeared from passive sonar, dove below 1,000 feet, where temperature layers bent sound waves, made detection extremely difficult. American operators switched tactics, deployed active sonar. USS Truxtun's AN/SQS-53C bow-mounted sonar pinged. High-frequency pulses, 3,500 watts of acoustic energy. The pulses traveled through water, reflected off Kazan's hull, returned as echoes, revealed position, range, depth, speed. The Russians hated active sonar. It told them exactly where American ships were, but it also stripped away their stealth, made them visible. The trade-off commanders had to make. Don't miss what comes next. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an analysis like this. Kazan's captain responded with evasive maneuvers, increased speed to 30 knots, changed depth rapidly, released countermeasures, acoustic decoys that mimicked submarine signatures, designed to confuse sonar operators, create false targets. The American destroyers compensated, used multiple ships, triangulated from different angles, separated decoys from actual submarine, maintained contact. The chase intensified. 3 destroyers plus P-8 aircraft versus 1 submarine. The odds heavily favored the hunters. But Kazan had one advantage. She could go places surface ships couldn't. Shallow water near reefs, under commercial shipping lanes. The captain exploited these sanctuaries. The tactical situation was delicate. This wasn't wartime. Both nations technically at peace. The rules of engagement were strict. American ships could track. They could demonstrate presence. They couldn't engage unless attacked first. The entire operation was carefully choreographed intimidation. Russia showing they could operate near American shores. United States proving they'd detect and shadow any incursion. Neither side wanted escalation. But accidents happen. Collisions occur. Misunderstandings escalate. Every officer involved understood the stakes. One mistake could trigger international incident. Support the channel by giving this video a thumbs up if you found it valuable. HMCS Ville de Quebec positioned herself between Kazan and the coast, created a barrier. The Canadian frigate specialized in anti-submarine warfare. Her crew trained extensively with American forces, knew the procedures, executed flawlessly, together with USS Truxtun. The two ships boxed Kazan in, limited her maneuvering options, forced her to either surface or proceed to Cuba as originally stated. The Russian captain chose the latter. At 10:23 a.m., Kazan altered course, southwest toward Havana. The immediate threat to Florida diminished, but American ships maintained contact, shadowed her every move. The diplomatic implications rippled immediately. Pentagon spokesperson issued statement. We are actively monitoring Russian ships as they transit the Atlantic Ocean within international waters. The language was measured, professional, downplayed the significance, but behind closed doors. Concern ran deep. This was the closest Russian nuclear submarine had approached Florida in over a decade. The last comparable incident occurred in 2012, when a Akula-class submarine operated near the Gulf of Mexico. That event triggered similar response, but Kazan represented a generational leap in capability, more dangerous, more capable, more threatening. Russian officials characterized the deployment differently. Routine training, demonstrating global reach, responding to NATO expansion. The official statement cited American support for Ukraine, approval for Ukrainian strikes against Russian territory using Western weapons. The submarine deployment was message diplomacy, showing that Russia could project power into America's backyard, just as America operated near Russian waters. The Ministry of Defense emphasized that all operations occurred in international waters, fully legal under maritime law, technical truth, but strategically provocative. Intelligence analysis revealed deeper motivations. The deployment tested American submarine detection networks. How quickly could U.S. forces respond? What assets would be deployed? How effectively could they track modern Russian submarines? Every piece of data collected during the operation went into Russian databases, studied, analyzed, used to improve future operations. The Americans understood this completely. That's why they deployed overwhelming force, demonstrated capability, sent their own message. We see you. We track you. We can respond faster than you expect. What would you have done when detecting a Russian submarine near your coastline? Comment your answer below. The technical intelligence gathering went both ways. P-8 Poseidon aircraft recorded Kazan's acoustic signature, updated databases, improved future detection algorithms. Destroyers collected electromagnetic emissions, analyzed radar profiles, documented communication frequencies. Every interaction provided intelligence value. Both sides knew this. Both sides accepted it as cost of the game. The Cold War had never truly ended in submarine warfare, just evolved, became more sophisticated, more technological, more dangerous. Admiral Gorshkov frigate remained on the surface, visible reminder of Russian presence. The 460-foot warship bristled with weapons, Zircon hypersonic missiles, capable of striking targets 600 miles away, Kalibr cruise missiles, close-in weapons systems. The frigate represented surface threat, while Kazan prowled below. Two-dimensional chess becoming three-dimensional. Surface, subsurface, air. American forces had to cover all domains simultaneously. This required coordination, communication, constant vigilance. The 90-minute response time demonstrated readiness, but also exposed vulnerabilities. What if multiple submarines operated simultaneously? Could American forces respond as effectively? These questions kept naval planners awake. By noon, June 11th, Kazan crossed into Cuban territorial waters. American ships halted at the 12-mile boundary. Maintain position outside Cuban waters. International law prohibited entry without permission. The Russians knew they'd reached sanctuary. Cuban government welcomed the flotilla. Scheduled port visit proceeded as planned. But the message had been sent, received, understood. Russia could operate near American shores. The United States would respond. Neither side sought conflict. Both demonstrated capability. The ancient game of naval cat and mouse continued. The port visit lasted 5 days. Cuban citizens viewed the vessels. Russian sailors toured Havana. Official meetings occurred between Russian and Cuban naval officials. American intelligence monitored everything. Satellite imagery documented the visit. Signal intercepts captured communications. The intelligence value was enormous. Understanding Russian-Cuban military cooperation, identifying potential weapons transfers, mapping support infrastructure that could enable future operations. Meanwhile, USS Truxtun and USS Donald Cook maintained positions outside Cuban waters, waiting, watching, ready to resume shadowing when Russian ships departed. The broader strategic context made the deployment more significant. Russia had threatened to supply long-range weapons to regions from which they could strike Western targets. This followed Western approval for Ukraine to use provided weapons against Russian territory. The submarine deployment demonstrated Russian capability to project power globally, threaten American interests. The message to NATO was clear. You help Ukraine strike Russia. We can operate near your shores. The escalation ladder climbed another rung, each side testing boundaries, probing reactions, building intelligence pictures. This kind of detailed tactical breakdown takes hours to research. Subscribe to help us keep making them. Yasen-M class submarines represented Russia's answer to American Virginia-class boats. 3 currently in service: Kazan, Novosibirsk, Krasnoyarsk, 5 more under construction, 3 additional units planned. These submarines would form the backbone of Russia's attack submarine fleet. Replacing aging Soviet-era boats, the improved capabilities alarmed American naval planners. During the Cold War, Soviet submarines were detectable, noisy, relatively easy to track. Modern Russian boats approached American quieting levels, made detection significantly harder, forced investment in new sensors, new tactics, new training. The technological race never ended, just shifted domains. The economic costs were staggering. Each Yasen-M cost approximately $1.6 billion, comparable to American Virginia-class at $2.7 billion. Both nations invested heavily in maintaining underwater superiority. The United States currently operated 53 attack submarines. Russia had approximately 17, but quality partially offset quantity. One Yasen-M with cruise missiles could threaten an entire carrier strike group, sink billion-dollar destroyers, strike land targets 1,000 miles inland. The submarines were force multipliers, asymmetric weapons that allowed Russia to challenge American naval dominance without matching ship for ship. Environmental considerations complicated submarine operations. The Atlantic Ocean's acoustic properties varied by season: temperature, salinity, depth. Operators had to understand oceanography, use thermal layers for concealment, avoid biological noise from whales and dolphins, navigate undersea terrain. The ocean wasn't empty water. It was a complex three-dimensional battlefield with features, obstacles, advantages, disadvantages. Both American and Russian submariners studied these factors extensively, used them tactically. The 90-minute hunt off Florida demonstrated this complexity. Kazan used every trick. American forces countered with technology and numbers. The political fallout was muted but present. Some congressional representatives questioned how Russian submarines could approach so close, demanded explanations, requested classified briefings. Pentagon officials provided reassurances. American forces detected the submarine immediately, responded rapidly, maintained contact throughout. The system worked as designed, no threat to American territory. But critics argued the mere presence of Russian submarines near Florida represented strategic failure. Others countered that international waters were exactly that: international. Free passage for all nations. The debate reflected broader tensions about military readiness, defense spending, great power competition. The incident highlighted the importance of alliances. Canadian participation in the operation demonstrated NORAD's effectiveness. Integrated command structures allowed seamless coordination. Information sharing occurred in real time. Assets deployed from multiple nations worked as unified force. This capability gave America and allies significant advantages. Russia operated largely alone, limited allied support, no comparable alliance structure. This isolated approach created vulnerabilities. Russian submarines were capable, but unsupported. One boat versus 5 allied ships. The mathematics favored the alliance. Was this deployment a show of strength or a sign of desperation? Leave your thoughts in the comments. The June 2024 operation off Florida became a case study, analyzed at naval academies, war colleges, intelligence schools. What worked, what didn't, what could improve. The 90-minute response time set new benchmarks, demonstrated readiness, but also revealed areas for enhancement: communication protocols, sensor coordination, rules of engagement. Every operation provided lessons. The military learned, adapted, improved, preparing for the next encounter, because there would be a next time. Russian submarines would return. American forces would respond. The cycle continued, each iteration raising stakes, increasing tension, testing limits. For submariners on both sides, the operation was professional business. Russian crew executed their mission, demonstrated capability, gathered intelligence. American crews tracked them, maintained pressure, collected their own intelligence. No personal animosity, just professionals doing difficult jobs, in dangerous environments. The ocean cared nothing for politics, crushed the unprepared, respected competence. Both sides understood this, maintained professional standards, even while maneuvering for advantage. The mutual respect among submariners transcended national boundaries. They faced common dangers, understood common challenges, even while preparing to potentially fight each other. The technological race continues. America develops new sensors. Russia improves quieting. China expands its submarine fleet. The underwater domain becomes increasingly contested, no longer dominated by American and Soviet boats, now crowded with capable submarines from multiple nations. The complexity increases, the margins narrow, the dangers multiply. Future conflicts will include submarine warfare as critical component. The Florida operation of June 2024 was practice, rehearsal for potential future confrontations. Both sides learned, both sides improved. The game continues. If you made it this far, you're the core of our community. What surprised you most about this submarine encounter? Do you think the U.S. response was adequate or excessive? How should America balance freedom of navigation with security concerns? Your engagement directly shapes what we cover next. Drop a comment and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our next deep dive into naval operations and submarine warfare. The Cold War ended on land, but under the ocean, the competition never stopped. Russian submarines still probe American defenses. American forces still track and shadow them. The technology improves, the stakes increase, but the fundamental dynamic remains unchanged. Control of the seas requires vigilance, capability, and the willingness to respond when rivals test boundaries. June 11, 2024, proved that American naval forces remain ready, responsive, and capable of protecting their waters from any threat.